So is Chisa officially the shorekeeper of negative status? A few weeks back, I posted a video saying exactly that, and plenty of people told me I was wrong. They insisted I was poping, overhyping, or just trying to manifest a savior for negative status with sheer willpower. But guess what? This is literally the role she was designed to fill. Not to turn negative status into some broken, meta-defining monster, but to finally make it reliable, efficient, and surprisingly punchy. And now that she's here, the truth is impossible to ignore. She is the shorekeeper. And she's really good at it. Yo, welcome back to the channel. Kamusta sa inyong lahat. Negative status teams have suddenly exploded in potential. And it's all because Chisa arrived and said, hey, what if I just rewrote the rules of debuffs entirely? That's right. While everyone was still arguing about which meta comp would dominate next, Chisa quietly stepped in and changed the entire equation. Players who thought they understood how debuff stacking worked are now staring at their screens, wondering why their damage number suddenly jumped. And that's exactly why we're diving into this today. Chisa's entrance into the game didn't just introduce a new playstyle, it clarified where negative status teams might be heading in the future. Instead of simply tossing Havoc Bane onto the field and calling it a day, she brings a genuinely fresh approach. She enables debuffs in a way that feels intentional and foundational, like the devs always meant for negative status teams to become a real powerhouse, but were waiting for the right catalyst. She can scissor through enemies, keep Havoc Bane rolling for consistent defense ignore, and more importantly, she buffs every negative status user on the squad by increasing their max stack limits. That alone is a huge damage amplifier for teams based on erosion or supplementary damage triggers like Phoebe's. But the real story isn't that she helps existing teams, it's that she sets the stage for what negative status effects could become. And that's something we're going to break down in detail, because there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than people realize. So if you decide you want to go and bring Chisa home and need extra Lunites and Asterites, click the loot bar link down in my description and pinned comment for a massive saving of up to 25% and an additional 10% if you use my link. You can save on monthly Lunite subscriptions, battle passes, and Lunite top-ups. Loot Bar is trusted by thousands and thousands of Wuwa players with excellent Trustpilot scores. With their mobile DIY top-up, you can get the discounts without giving away your password. If you use my link in the description and pinned comments, you can get an additional 10% off your first purchase. So yeah, give it a try. And thank you, Loot Bar, for sponsoring this video. Let's continue. So what does Chisa actually do in practice? She hits the field, applies Havoc Bane, and suddenly your team is ignoring a chunk of enemy defense before you've even started your main rotation. Her ability to inflict 3 to 6 stacks of Havoc Bane translates into 6 to 12% defense ignore instantly. Then you add in her support for negative status characters, giving them the ability to ignore an additional 18% defense. Combine these and you're looking at a total of 30% defense ignore. That is not just strong, it is team-wide, consistent, and easy to maintain. This means Chisa doesn't just bring utility, she brings a ramping, sustained advantage that makes your entire party hit harder without needing convoluted setups or niche synergies. She even boosts the max stacks of every negative status across the board by 3. That single enhancement transforms what your debuff characters are capable of. Instead of capping early and losing potential, they now have room to scale, intensify, and keep applying pressure. Her universal 30% defense ignore when active translates to roughly a 15 to 25% total damage increase for any team abusing negative statuses. That alone would justify using her. But the real kicker is that she also brings solid personal damage, healing, and grouping. She isn't just a buffer who exists on the side, she contributes directly. Chisa offers defense ignore, and she plays a far more active part in the team. So for teams that want to maximize negative statuses, the choice becomes clear. Chisa not only elevates them, she unlocks new ceilings. She allows 2 negative status resonators of the same element to stack more, making the process more efficient rather than rushing between 3 units. Take Fleur-de-Lis, for example. Those extra 3 stacks translates into roughly 40% damage amplification for her liberation and around 30% total damage increase for the kit. In erosion teams, that stacking potential is massive. And yes, that means Chisa quite literally overtakes Rover in many scenarios. Shorekeeper's value is that of a buff bot. She offers 15% damage amp, 25% crit damage, and 12% crit rate, which is an undeniably strong universal buff package. But her own damage output is low, and she's only there mostly to heal and to provide these buffs. That's about it. And if you want your team to dominate even more, getting Chisa's signature weapon becomes a must. It offers 12% attack to her and 24% all damage increase to all members of the party, which falls under a different multiplier. When you put together Chisa's 30% defense ignore and her 24% damage buff, she not only deals more personal damage, she ends up increasing the damage of the team as well. Right now, Chisa functions as an incredibly very strong upgrade with lots of future potential, because the moment a new character releases whose kit scales off total negative statuses on the target, Chisa becomes unstoppable. That extra Havoc Bane suddenly becomes not just helpful, but mandatory. So let's examine what's coming based on the updated versions of the negative effects. Electro Flare arguably is the biggest winner of all. Every stack contributes damage, and at max stacks, Electro Rage triggers for even more damage. Chisa bumps both stack caps, meaning you can go from 20 combined stacks to 26. That's 6 more stacks contributing to every burst of damage. Electro Flare teams could become some of the scariest comps in the game once more characters who specialize in this style arrive. Glacio Chaff stacks up to 10, deals damage per stack, and freezes the enemy at max stacks before resetting. Adding 3 more stack thresholds means you get more damage per hit and delay the freeze slightly, creating a larger damage window. This is a huge bonus because it affects every hit leading up to that freeze, not just the final payoff. And then we have Fusion Burst. It caps at 10 normally, 13 with her. The explosion grows stronger with each stack, so that looks really promising. Arrow Erosion is now in good hands. Spectral Frazzle, well, that's a different story unless Kuro releases a unit that will take full advantage of its synergy with Chisa. This leads to the big question. Is Chisa the shorekeeper of negative status? Honestly, she is. Maybe because she's all we got right now, she's the only one universal enough to be a support for all types of negative status resonators. But what's bonkers is the fact that she applies Havoc Bane, she can slot in regular team comps and turn it into a negative status team. With her signature weapon, this ability gets pronounced even more. However, unlike the Shorekeeper, who you can build with regular energy regen weapons, to really get the most out of Chisa, you need to get her weapon to make her and her teams pop. At least that's my opinion. While using Lustrous Blade allows you to 3-star clear tough Tio domains, having her weapon really makes her overpowered both as a support and as a damage dealer, given her slightly lower DPS output. Still, with her long-term value, her signature is a good investment because it's a universal weapon that could be used by other units if they're paired with her. Based on story direction and kit design, she feels like the beginning of a new archetype. A character designed not just to be strong on release, but to stay relevant as negative status mechanics expand. With her cap increases, Havoc Bane, Defense Shred, grouping, healing, shields, and personal DPS, she has an incredibly well-rounded kit. Her potential only grows the more negative status effects get added into the game. Even now in Erosion teams, she's putting up competitive damage numbers while buffing the team. And this is before future characters arrive who may rely entirely on debuff scaling. Her current value is high, but her future value might be even higher. So how do you feel about Chisa? Do you think she needs even more? Personally, I would have loved a small 10% damage amp specifically for negative status characters, but maybe that would have pushed her too far. Regardless, her design hints at long-term relevance, and the future of debuff teams is looking brighter than ever. Congrats to everyone who pulled Chisa, and good luck to those still trying. May Chisa wanters become havers. If this video resonated with you, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell for massive gacha luck. Thank you so much for watching. Maraming salamat po, and I'll see you in my next video drop. Goodbye.